If your flight is cancelled, you're due an alternative or a full refund. Plus, if it's within 14 days of departure, you could be owed hundreds of pounds in compensation on top. British Airways, EasyJet, Ryanair, TUI and Wizz Air have become the latest airlines to collectively cancel hundreds of flights at short notice. Airlines have typically blamed a combination of staff shortages due to sickness as well as industrial action for the recent spate of last-minute cancellations. Please note that the following compensation rights only apply to flights that departed from a UK or EU airport, regardless of the airline, or where a UK or EU airline landed at a UK/EU airport. Under these rules, EU airports also include those in Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. You're entitled to a full refund or alternative flight if your flight is cancelled. This applies regardless of how long before the flight you were told of the cancellation and regardless of what caused the cancellation. If you're stuck at the airport or abroad because your flight has been cancelled, you have a number of rights. Firstly, your airline should tell you what's going on. Ask at a check-in desk, but also look at its website, app, and Twitter and Facebook for updates. Check the email you used when booking too, in case you've been sent an update. Secondly, you may be entitled to food, drink, accommodation, and communication costs. Regardless of what's causing the hold-up, your airline must look after you if you're waiting for an alternative flight because your original one was cancelled. They need to provide the following: a reasonable amount of food and drink, often provided in the form of vouchers, a means for you to communicate, often by refunding the cost of your calls, accommodation if you are rerouted the next day, usually in a nearby hotel, and transport to and from the accommodation, or your home if you are able to return there. If your airline can't immediately cover these costs or provide a voucher, you can buy your own and claim back the cost, but make sure to keep receipts. And remember that only reasonable expenses are covered. Please do check your airline's website to see if it has any guidance. If your flight was cancelled within 14 days of departure and it's the airline's fault for the cancellation, you may also be due compensation on top. Staff sickness, including COVID-related sickness, and strikes by the airline crew are not reasons for airlines to avoid paying compensation. Most staffing issues, for instance relating to crew sickness or staff on strike, are not extraordinary circumstances, and the airline should therefore pay out for these. Affected passengers that are struggling to get compensation should cite the cases of Litpin vs BA City Flyer or Cruiseman and others vs TUI Fly GmbH to back up their claims. In the Litpin case, it was ruled that staff illness and the need to accommodate such illness on a daily basis is a commonplace for any business. It is a mundane fact of commercial life. It is in no way out of the ordinary. Whilst the Cruiseman judgment ruled that wildcat strikes, which are those not officially organised by a trade union, are also subject to compensation. Noting, however, that industrial action by air traffic controllers, airport staff and ground handlers is, however, considered extraordinary, meaning compensation would not be due. If you believe you're entitled to compensation for a cancelled flight, you can make a claim by complaining directly to your airline. I've put links to the complaint pages for the major airlines in the description box below for you. If your flight was booked as part of a package holiday, the tour operator has to either get you an alternative flight, an alternative holiday, or refund the whole cost of the holiday. If you need to make a claim, you'll need to contact the tour operator directly. Please do note that your accommodation, food and transfer costs would be covered by the tour operator rather than the airline. And if you aren't invited to make a claim, do remember to keep your receipts. And finally, there's little you can actively do when it comes to employment rights if you're stuck abroad. However, it's worth contacting your employer straight away and making them aware of your situation. You may need to take further annual leave to cover any extra days of travel required to get home. And depending on your job, if you'll be stuck abroad for a longer period of time, you could work remotely from your destination. However, you'll need to check whether your visa legally entitles you to temporarily work abroad. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please do give it a like. Do consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Do share this video with anyone else you think might benefit from it, and feel free to leave me any comments or questions and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.